Hey everybody, nice to be back online and thought I'd post a video. It's been a while, probably about a month since I posted anything, and wanted to get back in the swing of things and start posting a little bit more regularly. It's been a little bit of I've been on a hiatus and kind of creative block, I guess, and just the life stuff going on that get in the way of this. But I want to post a little bit more and thought I'd kind of break back into it again and start with talking about the S-4 sculpting sampler that I got about a month ago, and wanted to just give a first impression about it and tell you my thoughts. There's plenty of videos on how this thing works, what it does, but if you don't know, I'll give you just a quick run through of what it is. It is a sculpting sampler, as they say. It has 4 tracks that are on it, so you can record into it live if you'd like. It has many different modes as well that you can see here. This material mode and granular mode, filters, coloring, space, which is our effects. And then some of them have some sub things that you can change, like from disc, tape, poly, turn into a synth. Pretty cool tricks that are on here. They have a scene mode, which is like a song mode. You can rearrange your tracks from, say you want your effects or your color to go before your tape, or disc mode, if you will. You can, there's a nice little mixer that's in there. There's scenes, so you can use this in a song mode, rearrange kind of snippets of, the way you've maybe set up your tracks and modulation and whatnot. You can set up macros that are in here, which is pretty cool. And then there's a really cool temp mode where you can go in and start tweaking stuff, and then you release it and everything goes back to normal. I found the real power in this, though, with all these modes. They seem pretty cool, but doesn't seem too super deep, in my opinion, from some of the other things I've used. But I find that the modulation is pretty incredible. There's 4 modulators that are there, and you can set these up in many different ways. And these allow you to go anywhere, it seems like, practically anywhere where you see parameters, and you can send modulation however you'd like, plus, minus. Pretty incredible. And I think that's where this shines the most, that gets maybe a little overlooked, is the incredible modulation that's built into it. It's got decent MIDI. In-out stuff works fine. The 2 ins, 2 outs for stereo. It has a mic that's built in, so you can record that. There's a set of sample library that's already built into it. Pretty cool. So what are my thoughts initially? So I knew about the S-4 when it first came out. I wasn't quite, I guess aesthetically, I wasn't really feeling it at the time. And I heard a lot of stuff about features and bugs that were missing, and so I just didn't really jump on that. And then when the 2.0 came out, I heard really good things from the feature side of it. And I've always been thinking for years, since I've started my YouTube channel, about how cool it would be to have something that I could record live into, and I could manipulate and twist that data live, right? With, say, okay, I've got a Perkins, I've got maybe another synth that I'm running, the Super 6, whatever it might be. But to just add a little bit more depth and texture in there, it's effects are cool to have on the end of chain that I run when I'm recording everything. But I'd like to be able to explore the possibility of being a little bit more creative with my textures in a live environment. So that was the idea, and I had struggled a little bit with the GR1 Mega, which I actually put in an order for that, and then I pulled out of it due to some financial reasons that I just wasn't comfortable at the time, and it was taking so long for them to pump those things out. But it looked really cool. It's a different beast. I mean, it does the granular thing, but it definitely does its own things, and I think it's a more featureful, I guess, piece. Lots of knobs, I love the size and everything of that unit. Maybe one day, but for me, this little tiny table and having a lot of power is kind of important for this particular application of just recording stuff in and getting some on-the-fly manipulation of samples. So I went with it, got it, started working with it, found the manual very easy to work with. But boy, did I run into a lot of bugs. It was pretty bad, honestly. And I was on the fence about keeping it because I would start working on this thing and I would get weird crackling or noises, or something wouldn't trigger at all. And I would press the power button, turn it off and turn it back on, and the problem would still be there. And come to find out, I have to unplug it, plug it back in. And there would be one thing kind of after another, you know, and usually it would happen if I went into config in the middle of the session and try to change some parameters. But this made me feel like I didn't understand the unit. I was spending a lot of time, and then it just kind of got to a point where it's like, well, every time something doesn't seem to work the way I want it to, I'll just unplug it and plug it back in again. I was like, oh, it's so frustrating. What are we doing here? So since then, I think when I got it, I was like literally on 2.01, and I think we're now on 2.03, and all those major problems are gone. I haven't really noticed any issues with bugs that have gotten in my way, but I'm sure they're still there. I'm sure some people have found some things. It's a work in progress, I guess it seems, but I'm happy to say that the bug side of it is looking good. The build quality is really well done, I think. The buttons are nice, and the encoders was they're encoders. They kind of work like the way I'm used to most of them, where they're a little wobbly, but they do their job, and they're good. Yeah, I can't complain too much. I mean, I guess I'm a bit spoiled on the MPC Live 2 with their encoders are far and away from all the endless encoders I've ever used. I mean, those are just hands down the best I've ever had the pleasure of using. It'd be really cool if one day somebody can take those type of encoders and put them into a controller. So, and MPC Live is kind of a controller itself too. That's another video, but so I have used this in a couple different tracks so far. So thus far, I've been just recording. Say maybe I'm working on a chord or whatever from dub techno, and I might bring in a pad or just a snippet and bring it in here, and then I'll use the granulizer and I'll tweak it and then save it in and play it back. I had some issues with getting it to record live loops and then play those loops back in time, all kind of in real time. I don't know if it's a learning thing I need to get over, something I'm missing here, or if it's just not quite fully baked yet. But I find I record, it kind of misses the first few seconds. I have to go in and then change the start and end points to get a perfect loop going. So on the fly kind of record stuff I'm not ready for that kind of high flying performance yet, but to kind of prep what I'm going to do for a live track, I'll just kind of take the pieces, right? I'll take some of the notes and things like that, and try not to repitch them too much, or if I do, I'm trying to keep them in key. But I find just grabbing kind of material that I've already kind of built from a session and then bringing it in here tends to gel better, as long as I am working with the frequencies and not getting in the way of certain other frequencies that we're trying to emphasize, making sure the space is there, filling in the gaps, whatever. So that tends to work out for me. That's what I've been looking for, and that this seems to serve that function. So we're keeping it. We're not going to send it out. I am going to continue to dive deep into it. I think the modulation, like I said, is great. I mean, you can just control anything. I've seen people go into the mixer and change just start modulating levels and stopping, starting things. Just on the surface, it looks pretty simple. It's easy to get around, which I think is just really well engineered in that sense. And then giving you that depth underneath it to really let your creativity loose with the modulations and the way that you can rearrange your tracks and come up with completely new ways of delivering sonic experiments. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful to anybody that was kind of interested in this, or where it was at, I guess, in this state. Maybe if you're wondering about the bugs and or just somebody on the internet and their perspective on how they feel about it. So that's my take. I hope to do some more videos in the future. I think one thing I wanted to add, it's as long as it's been since I've posted, you get new gear sometimes, and man, does it really slow you down. It can happen. And that kind of, that's kind of, I'm not going to blame it all on this, but it does feel like it kind of had to take some time to work through how it's going to integrate, how they're all going to play together, what I want to do, what I want to express. And a lot of times you get started working on these things and you've got that new box that's in the middle of it, and then you get deep into it on its own, and you start to unravel its technical marvels, but you're not actually creating. That is such an issue with me when it comes to new gear. I don't like it. I love the new gear. I love to learn it, but I just can't stand what it does to my creative ability when it comes to just writing stuff, sitting down and writing a full track. They just it just has its caveats, and I couldn't imagine getting new gear, every month or two or more, and trying to. I just couldn't work that way. So I know this about myself, and I think it's more of a work in a vertical way, right? Go tall, not wide, meaning get a machine and go deep into it, right? Learn it from the ground all the way to the top. Start on the bottom floor, get to the top of that floor, and there's something so amazing when you get there, because you know your machine, you know how to flow with it. You can walk around in your evening away from your studio and start thinking of how you're going to maybe do things in your studio and connect things and utilize those devices and explore how those little dark corners maybe that aren't so obvious, right? But you know what they are, and you're able to get in and start finding new ways of routing things, right? And thinking of how you're going to manipulate your sonics. And I think the S-4, if you think that way and you kind of live your life that way in your studio, S-4 is a great system for that, because it is so flexible and kind of modular in its own way. And its connections and MIDI and whatnot. So being able to connect that with a live or the Cascadia, or using an OP1 or whatever, and then going back and forth and resampling, it really seems like almost endless. It's like almost like a desert island box, and to be able to I don't know if I said this, but you can literally run live into this with whatever instruments you've got, and you can go in and start applying granular parameters without anything being recorded, right? It's like a pedal. And I think the price point for it really I think it's really well priced, considering that some effects pedals, when you start getting into the LCD displays and they have lots of depth that's in there, they get up there, and this is right just a little bit more, I'd say, than some of those high-end pedals. And it kind of works. Like, you can totally use this as an end-to-chain device, like an FX pedal, and record on the fly whenever they get the looping thing, if that actually is an issue. Boy, I mean, that's quite a good deal, I would say. It's I wouldn't say a great deal, but I'd say it's just priced right. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I know everybody has different feelings and ideas about what something should cost and whatnot, but just comparing it, right, to what's out there, I'd say that it's well priced. So let's see, is there anything else I want to cover? I don't know, but I hope to make this a piece going forward with everything that I'm writing here and exploring it more. I still have a lot to uncover with it. So I hope this video again was helpful, and we'll hopefully get a track released here in another week or so. So everybody, take care. See ya.